happened to treasonable felony? Where are those charges today?
On 2015.
They have just disappeared because they have no evidence against you. Anybody committing crime cannot go scot-free. I swear it. They cannot go scot-free. Anybody involved in any type of crime in the East cannot go free. And they're doing it because I'm in DSS. That's why if I said no idiot can try this rubbish, and they know it very well. They know it very well. And I suspect that some people in government are complicit. They are making money with insecurity. That's correct. They are making money with it. They know now the mechanics outside. In 2 minutes, this nonsense will stop. Who is the idiot? Who is the bagger? That will speak when I'm talking. Who is the fool? Who is the idiot? I ask. That I give an order in the East, and any idiot will counter it. Who is the bastard? I'm asking you. Nobody can. I'm not the Kanu. Who is the idiot?
No, don't. No.
What is it?
It's okay.
Tell us the ongoing killings in the East in the name of IPOB. What is your stand on that?
Anybody involved in any form of violence
Okay, let us leave it here. We are coming back to it. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching from. Great people of Africa, great people of Biafra, all over the world, I greet you and I welcome you to this program. While you are joining us, kindly share the video, invite others to join. Because we are here to analyze what we saw in the court on the 20th of March 2024. And I know many analyses has been done on these issues, but you know, there are things that I want to actually talk about when it comes to this particular issue. And I am also going to talk about the reason why Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was given a chance to speak to the media. It is very, very important that we follow, the evidence. There is something I have learned from late Marian Hedda. She always say, follow the evidence. I want you to know and understand that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu on the 20th of March 2024 speaking to the media, it's not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. It is something that was actually, purposely established by Nigeria state. But we are going to talk about, what happened, and we are going to actually touch on the intricacies of what happened and the reason why it was, created. That is, by the way, we have heard from Mazen Nnamdi Kanu of what he said about insecurity in Biafra land. Of course, Biafra land, ever since he was taken into DSS custody through illegal means and illegal, of course, extraordinary rendition, which is illegal in the book. How it was actually before it was done, the insecurity in Biafra land was curbed by Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. The insecurity in Biafra land was at its minimal level, as what we are seeing, like just what we are seeing right now. It is quite, a bizarre situation. Now you will understand that everything you see playing out is actually well planned. It was actually well planned. That is the reason why you see this insecurity in Biafra land. Prior to the time Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped, an extraordinary rendition to Nigeria and kept in the dungeon without, proper care, medically, psychologically, or otherwise. Now, you should understand that if you want to destroy an organization, create something that behaves like that organization. Create a faction of that organization. I keep saying this, and then that is exactly what we are seeing in our everyday lives. Now you are seeing it within the organization that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu established, and this organization that he established has been, an organization established to help the ordinary people to thrive, which he read the motto of this organization. And the motto of this organization, he read it in court, which of course the whole world will understand the motto of this organization. And that organization and its motto has been maintaining, the principles in which the organization was formed. And when he talked about the motto of the organization in court, it is an evidence to show the world that what they were doing, if you want to destroy an organization, you create another organization that is called a faction of that organization, and they will begin to behave like, they will begin to behave as if that they are this organization. And now the motto of the organization Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is heading, which is IPOB. The motto he mentioned, he said, you must be without fear before your enemies. You must be without fear before your enemies. And the reason why you must be without fear before your enemies, because your enemies have the capability of taking you away or taking you out. Your enemy has the access to erase you. That is the reason why being fearless before your enemy simply means that you know the consequences of speaking the truth. You know the consequences of actually exposing what the Nigeria state and the Nigeria government is doing to her, to the so-called her people. The only thing that will save you from there is being fearless before them. Before those people who are doing those things to steal and to loot the public funds, to make sure that you do not test, the good water, to make sure that you do not have access to hospital, to school, you do not have access to road infrastructure, you don't have access to, electricity. It is somebody that is looting all that funds that's supposed to go there, right? If you are not fearless to call them to account, if you are not fearless before your enemy, you will not be able to call these enemies to account, because you have the right to call them to account, because they say you are under democratic dispensation where power belongs to the people. So now, you are to be fearless before your enemy. If you are fearless before your enemy, that means you can rise up and demand for something to happen. And it will happen. If you demand for a change to happen, if you demand that you are tired of neocolonialism, which Nigeria is nursing and midwifing, if you demand that you are tired of 1914, curse, that was placed amongst different, set of people called Amalgamation of 1914. If you are tired of such amalgamation, like I said, the amalgamation was done not in the interest of those amalgamated, but in the interest of those who planned the amalgamation and who did the amalgamation. So, had it been the amalgamation was done in the interest of those being amalgamated, it was going to be something that is going to, we're not supposed to be talking about separation. But because the amalgamation is to work against those amalgamated and work in the benefit of those that are actually amalgamating those people. The initiators, which is Lord Lugard and Flora Shaw. And they did it. They succeeded. And we've been nursing and midwifing this amalgamation, which promotes today the activities of neocolonialism in our land. We are nursing it because it is actually a way to make sure that we are not, of course, it takes people who agree with each other, who are united to fight a common enemy. As long as you are not united, you will not fight the common enemy. That is the reason why they make this amalgamation. While you are busy fighting, praying for peace and unity, they are busy doing what they need to do to elevate themselves above you. Now we are nursing and midwifing these things because we are fearful before our enemy. We have been fearful before those people who are actually taking our right, taking our lives, taking everything that belongs to us away. We have been fearful before them. That is the reason why the vital motto of this organization, established by Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, says, you must be fearless before your enemy. You must be fearless before your enemy. The kingdom of God suffered violence. The violent taketh it by force. So the the fearlessness of your character before your enemy is that violent that will take the kingdom of heaven. Now you have forgotten that fearlessness. Many of you in Nigeria forgot it. That is the reason why you are nursing, midwifing this neo-colonial agenda, which is called amalgamation of different set of people who have never gotten along with each other, forcing them so that they will continue to pray for peace and unity. Peace and unity. US will be praying for, they will be praying to elevate themselves even to the fifth industrial revolution. Likewise, Europe, as well as China, Iran, India, they are praying for elevation into fifth industrial revolution. Who is going to actually make a benefit of introducing this 5IR, 6IR? They are in competition of who is going to now unveil the next industrial revolution. Who is going to take advantage of it and take control of the world? We are still busy, after 10 decades, praying for peace and unity. Don't you think that you've prayed for this peace and unity for a very long time, and this peace and unity has never worked? Each and every person you call a president that is found himself in the position of leadership, they will deceive you that they are going to unite the country. Why are you trying to unite the country when you claim that you continue to tell yourself that the unity of Nigeria is actually a tax? It's no negotiation. It is no negotiation but still that unity you've been praying for 10 decades, it has never happened. It is actually distracting you from focusing and taking your people into, a profitable society, into a good infrastructure. But you keep praying for the unity, forgetting that there is something that is going by. That is time. Time waits for no man. As long as you continue to waste time, you continue to actually, bring yourself down. Time waits for no man. That's why you should move with time. There are people who are wiser that move ahead of time. Now, it becomes necessary for you to stop praying for peace and unity and start praying for economic opportunity and infrastructural development, in innovation, entrepreneurship. You start praying for things that is going to assist you to climb and compete with the first world country. You will never pray for them because you are distracted by peace and unity that you are peace preaching for every blessed day, which has never worked. Does it mean God is not answering such prayers? Does it mean He doesn't answer such prayers? Of course, He does not answer such prayers. Because the only reason why He gave us this, Bible verse, which is a figuration speech, where He says that when the people started building a tower that will reach heaven, He placed a different tongue among these people. That is a figuration speech. That is exactly what you see happening in Nigeria today. That is the reason why I keep telling you Bible is not a European book. It is a book of wisdom. It is a book of, particular people. And that's why we continue to decode it. Now, you're going to understand that the only thing He did amongst these people was to put them to speak different language. That different language simply means confusion. Confusion. If Britain were able to bring these different cultures, put them together, that means they put confusion amongst us. We continue to try, we are trying to tell ourselves, no, let's come and unite. Let's unite. Let's unite. That is that building that you were building. Because you see these Europeans, they saw how fast you were growing while you were on your own original. They saw how great you were while you were in your own original. They saw the wonders and the miracles you were able to do while you were at your original. That is the reason why when God placed the different tongues, Britain decided to place the different tongues amongst us in order to make us to be confused. We will never focus. We will continue to see how do we navigate these different tongues. How do we come together? While the time is going, they continue to rule your children and your children's children. While you are still in discussion of how do we have peace and unity. Can't you see? Can't you see? Like, we need to actually be ashamed of ourselves. We need to be very, very ashamed of ourselves for allowing ourselves to be deceived for how many decades, even after the so-called independence, when they introduced you into neo-colonial agenda. And we've been rolling and romancing it. How can we continue to romance this British agenda? The same British we are romancing today, their agenda, it does not keep them afloat. The plan they have been making, if you understand that ever since Africans started waking up, that African leaders started demanding for more money from the European world. That's actually, if you understand this, what I say. They are demanding for more money. And when we talk about more money, it is not demanding for more money that will help me and you. They are demanding for more money that will bring their, make their pocket, to be big, and their stomach to be big. That is what they are demanding. And now it is also affecting negatively the economy of these other people. Imagine if we are able to be free from these our leaders. If we are able to be free from these our leaders, and we decide to make this decision to say, these our resources, it cannot go there again. It is better the manufacturing, the processing, and everything come to our land, and we will now make use of it. We make use of it and send out finished product with our resources instead of sending out raw materials. You see now, Britain is feeling the spikes. They are going through a constitutional, crisis. They are going through economic crisis as well. The other day, somebody crashed their car at I believe at the gate of the palace, and it is you might find out these are the people who are disgruntled, people who are disgruntled about the activity, what has been there. The disgruntled Britain are now overreacting. Now, you should also know that all these things kept us into speaking different language. And they know, because at some point they made themselves the god of black people. The Europeans made themselves the god of Africa. And the God of Africa will repeat everything that the God of the Bible did, which is the true God did, in order to make sure that those they are trying to conquer will continue falling into the trap. The language that was changed while they were building a tower to reach heaven. The amalgamation which changed our language and introduced broken. That we may continue to, find a way to unite ourselves, to speak one language, which is peace, while the time is running out and they continue to exploit us. So if we can make sure we do away with this different language and we now go to our own original before the amalgamation was done, that is when we will have economic growth, and that is how we are going to have innovative society that will be able to compete with the first, the second world country. Now you look at what is going on. If you cannot be fearless before your enemy, you will not be able to call for a change, because you will be fearful that they will, take you out just the way they do others, or they will jail you just the way they have done Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, because it is all about speaking the truth. Once you speak the truth, you become the enemy of the state. And that has been what is keeping Mazen Nnamdi Kanu in solitary confinement. There are many things we are going to confirm today. And the second of the motto says that you must speak the truth always, even when it leads you to your death. You must speak the truth always, even when it leads to your death. And that is exactly what he has been speaking. And that is what led to where he is today, in the solitary confinement, DSS dungeon. And now, you will find out that that truth that he is speaking is what leads you to your suffering. And if you cannot, what do you call it? They tell you that you must sacrifice, you must suffer, before now. Yes, if you walk in the sun, you will reap the benefit in the shade. So that is at the end of the day, if you are able to stand tall in front of your enemy, challenge the boogeyman, the boogeyman will eventually succumb. But you do it with diplomacy, not necessarily with violence, with diplomacy. But self-defense becomes very important. Now, when you look at this all these things I'm trying to analyze to you, the most crucial part of it is self-defense, and the most things they will use against you is self-defense. Now that is what you see going on when you speak self-defense. They say you incite violence or you are insightful. So when he spoke self-defense, they call it insightful. Self-defense is the right of every human being on earth. Self-defense is the right of every human being on earth. No one has a right to take your life. So self-defense, if I can preach self-defense, I can preach self-defense. Defend yourself without fear. Defend yourself against any aggressor. Internally or externally, defend yourself. It is very, very important. That's what makes us human. We are not cowards. To defend yourself. Life, once it flashes, before you, it is gone. You will maybe, if you are going to reincarnate, you come back empty brain, you won't even remember. You start afresh. All the things you have labored for, you leave it behind, you come back and start. So it becomes important for you to defend yourself. So you must speak the truth before your enemy, even if he leads you to death. But you must have right to defend yourself. Are you paying attention? You must have right to defend yourself. So when he asks you to defend yourself, people call it that he asks you to, eliminate soldiers. He asks you to eliminate these people. When the soldiers who are being paid by your taxpayers' money, the soldiers, the police, the law enforcement who is getting paid by your tax. If you are not paying this tax, you won't get paid. If you are not contributing this tax, many of you will say, no, we don't pay tax in Nigeria. You don't pay tax. But everything you purchase in Nigeria, you are paying tax. Everything you purchase, any transaction that is done through the banking system, you are paying tax. So you should not say you are not paying tax. So that money that they are extorting from you, that doesn't belong to them, is the same money they are going to use to pay the police, pay the army, for the sake of them defending you and protecting your right and upholding making the law to stand, enforcing the law rather. Then the justice system or the judicial system will now uphold the law. Now, if this police turn around, police that you are paying, because you are the one paying those police indirectly to protect the nation against any external or internal aggression, against any, disobedient to the law of the nation. They now turn around and start hunting you because you gave them gun, you gave them authority, gave them uniform to protect the country. They now turn around and start hunting you who gave them, the authority. What do you need to do? You defend yourself. Regardless of how you do it, stay alive. So when I preach such thing, somebody will come and tell me that I am inciting violence against the Nigeria state. That is stupidity of the highest order. That is the reason why you will call, that is actually what makes a banana republic, because a banana republic is run by it's run by proxies. Other people make decisions, use some individuals, some elements who cannot, even understand a simple arithmetics. They just place them there. they know that they are not even ashamed of themselves. They can even come and disgrace themselves in the public. They don't care. As long as the man on the periphery is not seen, they do their things systemically. Now, they will be controlling the face. The face will be making a lot of mistakes. It doesn't matter. But they are the ones who are calling the shots. The face cannot be, prosecuted. That is the right given to the face. You cannot be prosecuted against, no matter what you do, you will never be prosecuted. That is exactly what is happening in a place called Banana Republic. So think about what is happening in your own nation. Think about what is happening in your own nation. Now, the law enforcement is now a weapon that the government is using to actually hunt down anybody who does not agree in their corruption, or who does not, who is not keeping quiet even in their corruption. Because there is no man who watches the watchman. The watchman watches themselves. That is the reason why when you speak, you have to be cut down. If you are not cut down, another person will speak. If another person speak, there is possibility that 10 more other people will join force. And from speaking, they will come out with a solution. From the solution, they will start enforcing this solution. From there, the man on the periphery disappears. The man that is being used as a face pays the price. If he is actually Mahmoud Anando. That is called revolution. You have chased away the man on the periphery, which is what Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso did. They've chased away the man on the periphery. They're now, they have taken charge of what they have. So, that's exactly the reason why you must speak the truth, even though it leads to your death. The third motto of this organization is, you must help the poor and those who cannot help themselves, and be of good character that God may help thee. Don't forget that if you are given an opportunity to lead, or if you are given a grace to command, maybe like I am given, a grace of 20,000 people on Facebook. I am speaking to 20,000 people, regardless of what numbers Facebook plays here. It does not matter. There is possibility that this message gets to 20,000 people. Now, if you are given a grace to have such audience, you should make sure you do not abuse that opportunity. You should not abuse it. Now, that is the reason why you saw immediately when Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was taken out, you find some elements, they began to try, they try to hijack the organization. Not only to hijack the organization, to hijack the spotlight that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has. Dude, they've tried. They are trying. They continue to try. Now, that is the reason why you see insecurity in Biafra land. Because while you are trying to steal that spotlight, you are going to start everything Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said in the past. Which everything he said in the past can actually be defended. It can be defended regardless of how you heard it, regardless of how you decide to interpret it. It can be defended. Now you find somebody who is going to act in opposite direction, claiming that they are behaving in the same character of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu or in the same tone of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. That was exactly what you saw playing out from the faction. Now you see everything they are doing, they took advantage of those, audience that they have gathered in the name of giving them freedom, in the name of supporting freedom movement, or in the name of helping them decolonize, or in the name of, motivating them to do good. They compromise the audience. They compromise the audience. Now, from compromising the audience, they started, attack on what the man they claim that they are defending believe in. They started attack on it, whilst on the other hand, claiming they are calling for the release of this man. I want you to understand what is playing out. It is a very, very dirty politics. Very, very dirty politics that many people will not understand. But what I am going to make you, give you to take home today is that there is nothing Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said in the past that is not defendable. Everything he said in the past is defendable because, of course, that is when you interpret Bible, whenever you see somebody speaking, when you interpret their word, basically, it will not, they can tell you that this is not what they are saying. It is only somebody who uttered a word that will be able to interpret that word and say, what do you mean? Even in the court, they will ask you, you say people should actually, do whatever they can to protect themselves. What do you mean by that? The court must ask you such question to see, because that is the reason why the people who make, in fact, the people who know better tells you that most of the things you see or hear is not the truth, but it is a perspective. So in this regard, it is up to the person you heard it from to explain themselves. So the court will introduce what you said to you and tell you now what do you mean by this? You will say, I was calling people to defend themselves against any aggression. Of course, we have a democracy, we are into democratic dispensation where the right to self-defense or the right, people have right to live. Right to live. Constitutional democracy. Right to live. So now, if this life of this person is being taken away, it is my own, it is my right to motivate him to stay alive. So I did it because I care for the next person that I am suffering with under this government or under this law enforcement that is, that is doing all this organ harvestation that we have seen. So, you present your cause. The court will now determine, of course, the what they call the evidence, because most of them will call it evidence. They will call it evidence. The court will determine the admissibility of this evidence by questioning the accused. So that has been the way it is. People don't, when you go to court, when people believe that once you see, we have evidence, or maybe it is only in Nigerian court that when they say we have evidence, he said this is it, that they will not, of course, try to ascertain what is your state of mind. What were you thinking while saying this? Your response and your defense determines whether it is a criminal act through the justice system. Your response determines. Now, you say you call people to, defend themselves because, of course, they have right to defend themselves. If you see somebody that is trying to stab somebody at the back, if you are a good person, you raise alarm, call that person to defend himself against this aggression. It is not a crime. It is caring for another man. It is caring. So there is nothing, that will be, court will not, once you give your own, part of the story, court will can disqualify this so-called evidence. Court can disqualify it. It is not, it has no, admissibility in court. So now, if these things are happening in Nigeria court, how does it work? In Nigeria court, you see that they are actually, everything. What Nigeria does is that once they say, I see you are a criminal. I don't see the way your lips they black. Your lips they black. Your eyes they red. You be criminal. That's how Nigeria judge now. And of course, many of you will bear me witness. That's how they judge. Should I give you an example? Okay, let's do you the honor. During the time that Nigeria SARS shot and eliminated a young man, a young footballer, because he has a laptop. What was that? What was that? Because he has a laptop, he had a footballer. Of course, they do their hairstyle. When it happened, because of the hairstyle and because he's carrying a laptop, that's why they shot him and they killed him. So it is because they see the guy as a fast guy, because the hairstyle is like a worldly hairstyle. That's what they will call it, because they are too religious. They will call it worldly hairstyle, worldly hairstyle. So they will take you out. Don't you think, if the law enforcement is the way they are thinking, don't you think that the judiciary is also thinking like that? Because in the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, you will find out there is no admissibility in every evidence they have actually presented. There is none. Why is it they claim he committed treasonable felony? That's what he was asking them. Where is the treasonable felony? Where is it? It is nowhere to be found, because the evidence presented, for the sake of this treasonable felony, is not substantial. It's not substantial. So the case was discontinued, which is the biggest amongst them all. Now, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is suffering in the DSS dungeon. Do you know why? Nigeria does not want to hear the side of his story. The only, court that heard the side of the story and they approved the story to be authentic and nullify every, evidence that was presented or every claim that was made by the state. It was because the Supreme Court was not biased. They decided to give a judgment that is in line with a constitution, that is in line with international law and treaty, that is in line with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is in line with Geneva's Convention. That is exactly what the Supreme Court actually, the verdict they have given. Now, after the verdict, Nigeria appealed to the I mean appeal court, sorry. A court of appeal. Court of appeal. Court of appeal. When this court of appeal gave that judgment, the state saw that no, before we go to Supreme Court, let's plan very well, because maybe it is accidentally we did not plan, we did not have a backdoor meeting before we came to Supreme Court. So before we came to Court of Appeal, before we go to Supreme Court, let us plan very well. They actually, was the, of course, when they filed the case in the Supreme Court, they refused to notify the accused. They refused to notify the accused lawyers. So, because accused is in a solitary confinement, so it is you that need to notify, send letters or send message through to the accused lawyers that there is a case in the Federal Supreme Court, and the case, this is what the case is all about, for them to go home and study it and know how to represent themselves. Now they filed it. They brought in a delay strategy. Of course, what in my own understanding I could say that the delay strategy they used during the time of Supreme Court, how many months, and the time they say they are going to vacation, it is all about trying to make sure that every parties in that place were able to come to agree on to take the bribe, probably, or be corrupted in their own scheme that they have actually planned. So the reason why it took so long before Supreme Court was able to hear the case, it took so long, right? Because it was about trying to get this 5-man panel to see if they will get unanimous decision, maybe three against 2. So it was not actually, it wasn't happening. They got 2. So they were under pressure because of what we do in the media space. They become under pressure. They present the case. Now the case, of course, we saw, did not reach unanimous decision because there was no agreement. The agreement and the plans did not work as they were planning it, and they were under pressure. They decided to rule it anyhow. Jankara, it doesn't matter. No problem. And yet, from appeal court to Supreme Court, now back to the lower court. Back to the lower court. Now, when you look at this case in the lower court, a bail was actually applied. A bail was applied, which in the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, he has been discharged and acquitted by the High Court, the court of a competent jurisdiction, with an order that says you cannot try this case again in Nigeria. It has no jurisdiction due to the extraordinary rendition done against this individual. So, if there is extraordinary rendition against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, it nullifies the jurisdiction that Nigeria is supposed to have if they did something within the book or within the ambit of the law before bringing him back. Now, because of that, you cannot define the law. You cannot go against the law and claim that you are trying to bring or to uphold the law. It does not happen. So Mazen Nnamdi Kanu now, his case in appeal High Court, Junta Binta Nyako, that case is just a case of delay to see if there will be a consensus reached with And that is the reason why you see them talking about bail. Because the bail, you cannot get a bail for a case that is discharged. You will release the person to go. The case is discharged. You cannot ask for bail. What Supreme Court did was it is irregular. It is not in line with the law. That's what the Supreme Court did, the apex court of the land, by not being able to reach unanimous decision in order to determine the case. By saying that they were looking for, or they did not see a case filed for against the extraordinary rendition. They don't need to see it, like I said it before. There is no need for filing extra case of extraordinary rendition, because in a court of law there is two parties, accused and accuser. There is two parties, accused and accuser, or you call accused and prosecutor. Now this accused has been, this accused person has been in a solitary confinement, and many charges has been leveled against him. Everything leveled against him by Nigeria State, which was amended several times before they begin the hearing. Now, this same accused that you accuse of so many things, you have not heard, you did not say, let us hear from accused, because it is two parties. You hear from accused, you hear from accuser. Then you have not heard from accused, then how did you determine the case? If you did not hear from accused, how did you determine the case? Because if you heard from accused will tell you, first, I was actually kidnapped in Kenya. Extraordinary rendition back to Nigeria, which is off the book, against the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is against international law and treaty. I was kidnapped under extraordinary rendition. Not rendition, extraordinary rendition, illegal, off the book. So that means if they say, the Supreme Court said they did not see the case being open, or a fresh docket being opened against that act of the federal government, the Supreme Court is actually shooting themselves in the leg. It shows that what the court is doing is actually playing hide and seek, because you must hear from the accused, you must hear from the person being the accuser, in order to determine the admissibility or the evidences that they have presented. Now, it means that the court did not hear Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. They were only hearing Nigeria. How will the court make a decision if they cannot hear you? So, if in a court it is the issue between one person, and you are telling that person he should go and establish a new court case against the extraordinary rendition, they should establish it separately. What are you then judging him for? What exactly are you hearing? Have you seen that anybody that is telling you that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers did not open the issue of extraordinary rendition? That person is talking rubbish, jargon, because one court is supposed to hear all these cases. They're supposed to hear these cases because these cases are not two different cases. It is one case. First of all, a court that knows what it is doing will ask, who is, will check whether it has the jurisdiction to try this matter. If it has no jurisdiction, it will actually discharge the case. They will not entertain it, because in every judicial system, issue of jurisdiction is very, very important. issue of jurisdiction is very, very important. Nigeria is a federative state by name, but non-federative state in action. When you want to mention a Nigeria, you say it is a federal republic. Federal republic that a governor cannot make even a decision. Governor cannot make a decision in a federal republic. Every decision is made. Every decision concerning security will be made by the person in the upper echelons, the president. The only thing that governor can do is taking their allocation and using it to do what they're supposed to do. But they cannot make a decision when it comes to security of their land. Have you seen what they call Federal Republic of Nigeria? So it is federal by the name, not in action. Now, when you go to the United States, and the federalism means that every state can make their own decision, make their own laws. So when that is where the issue of jurisdiction becomes very crucial. You cannot take somebody from one state and move them to another state. That state where you take them have the capacity and the laws that will deal with whichever case such person is having. There is no such thing you pick up someone in Lagos, you take them to Abuja. There is no such thing. Except if there is no court in that area that will deal with that matter. There is a special court in another jurisdiction that need to attend to such matter. That is the only time you will take such person to that side. But if it doesn't require a special court, and when we talk about special court, we talk about there is something about civil law. There is okay, I believe that domestic violence falls under civil law, I believe, or customary law. So it has its own jurisdiction. You cannot take a case of a custom and you go take it to criminal justice. You take it to customary law, customary court. So that is special court. So it's only that time that you are going to take a case from one place to another. So that is the reason why the issue of jurisdiction becomes very important in everything you do, within the judiciary, within the ambit of judiciary, or in enforcing the law. So when Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was taken in Kenya, Nigeria went and stole him from Kenya to Nigeria. That means he has no jurisdiction. Nigeria has no jurisdiction to try him in Nigeria. They must take him back to Kenya. They must take him back to Kenya. So that is where a court of a competent jurisdiction decided to look upon this case and say, no, we cannot entertain this matter. This matter will be discharged, and there is no court in Nigeria that's supposed to entertain this case because it has no jurisdiction in Nigeria. So where then did this issue of jurisdiction came from? That the court ruled with the issue of jurisdiction, which is the court of appeal. Then the Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the apex court of the land, that's supposed to, promote justice, equity, and fairness. Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the apex, the last number of the courts in Nigeria, decided to tell you that they do not have any hearing pertaining the issue of jurisdiction, which means the Supreme Court is undermining the case, it's undermining the court that is lower than it. You cannot undermine it. You will only make sure that what judgment they're giving has no flaws. But you undermine it by saying you did not see a case filing against the extraordinary rendition. Why must there be a separate case? Ask the judiciary of Nigeria. Because it makes no sense. it is issued pertaining this person. And this person, it was never in Nigeria. How did he come back? It has no jurisdiction. As long as the issue of jurisdiction becomes crucial, the case is null and void before the Nigeria judiciary. Why are they entertaining it? Nobody knows. That is the reason why, if you cannot be, if you are actually speaking the truth to power, it is either you face death or jail time. He is facing the jail time. And right now, what is very, very important is that Nigeria has shown the world that the judiciary system of Nigeria has no dignity. I'm not being prejudiced. I am not stereotyping judiciary of Nigeria, but I'm being realistic. It has no integrity. Now, what is the impact of a judiciary not having integrity? It means that the judiciary can easily be manipulated by the government. The judiciary can easily be manipulated by, by anybody who is the highest bidder. Therefore, investors who run away from the country. Investors. Because if you see MTN in Nigeria, well, sometimes you hear they give them fine of $5 billion. They give them fine of $10 million. If there are no investors, when they are hearing that, seeing the activities of the judiciary, because if you give MTN or any other company, multinational in Nigeria, if you give them a fine of $10 million, they will take it to court. They will take it to court to determine the admissibility of the evidence presented against them. Now, if the court say no, you cannot find them, you cannot find them. But when they actually perceive that the judiciary of a country is biased, they or can be biased or can be bought over, they run away. So that is the reason why you continue to be the third world country, because you do not allow the law to take its course. You do not allow nature to take its course. Everything you are doing it is artificial. And artificially, not just in a right way, but in a bogus way. So you cannot attract investors. Even if you are running a capitalist economy, you cannot have these investors coming. Because you are not creating enabling environment. Just like a spokesperson of Missing in Action President Emeritus Buhari, is Femi Adesina. He said that the government is not it is not in the position of government to create employment, but it is in the position of government to create enabling environment to attract people who will create employment. So you ask them now, is this judiciary or is this justice system creating enabling environment? Because every investor need to know that the court is not biased, because in their issue, because they will go to court. Of course, there is labor law that can take them to court. Labor law can take them to court. There is a lot of things that could take an investor to court. It's just that in Nigeria, they don't teach you all these things. You may not even have labor law, or even I don't know how it is run in that place, but I know that the investors, they actually they investigate these things and now say to themselves, are we able to navigate these things? Are we corrupt enough to go into this system? Or are we so good and maybe this system will corrupt us? Or are we going to make more money than what we're going to lose in paying bribes in this country? So they will determine this. But if it is an economy that is running uprightly, investors doesn't need to think twice. They will come and invest. They know they are protected by the law. They know that the judiciary is unbiased. They know there is infrastructural development. They know there is a steady electricity. They don't need to buy oil and gas. in order to, bring power. Even if they are going to buy it, at least there is infrastructural development. Maybe electricity is not there, that there is good judiciary, which is the most important for an investor. There is good judiciary. Because even if you don't have electricity, they can introduce their own electricity. Maybe they introduce to themselves a renewable energy that will power them. It is even at their advantage. Because you cannot make a provision of electricity. They will make it for themselves. Therefore, they are not liable in paying you for their electricity supply. So it is more profit for them. So they don't even want you to have electricity. Sometimes you will even ask them to even borrow you some megawatts if they have more, so that you add into your own grid. So that is exactly what, how these things are run. If an investor see the way the judicial system of Nigeria is carrying herself, there is no investor who will come. And you can ask multinationals, not the ones from Britain. I don't know about the ones from Britain. But you can ask MTN in Nigeria what they are going through in the hands of Nigeria. It's just that they are making too much money in Nigeria. That is the reason why they are still, pushing or holding on. So, what they are doing to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, not allowing people to have freedom of speech, freedom of association, and freedom of freedom to life, or freedom of your right to life. Not allowing people chase away those who will bring investment and create employment in the country. So that is one thing you should know. Those of you who are business minded or who are economists, you can prove me wrong or right, because it is important. If everything is not working, judiciary must not be biased. And the fourth motto of this organization, you should not be violent in your approach. Now this brings us to, I did not actually lay my preambles because I do not want to forget any of the things I am here to talk about. Of course, we're going to actually ask some questions. If you see, the information going about to Dennis Speak, you will know that he is in the custody. We're going to touch on that. And we're going to tell you the reason why he is in the custody. Because so many people will believe that it is all these small things that you saw. I will tell you the reason. But let us finalize and conclude this. Now, the last motto, you should not be violent in your approach. That is exactly the last of the motto. Now, some organization rose up claiming they are the followers of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, and they are violent in their approach, which is against the modus operandi of this organization that they claim they were part of, and the leader of the organization. Regardless of what you claim you have heard or you might have heard, the motto of the organization says, do not be violent in your approach. Now, you are judging a man who has organizations such as this, which Nigeria from behind the door, back door, proscribed, and later a court from Enugu, I believe, dealt with the issue of the proscription, and the evidence they were presented with has no, it cannot they have no substantial evidence that will enable this proscription to proceed. Now, the proscription was actually quashed in Enugu. But because the Nigeria state does not actually take serious any judicial, court that is in the south eastern part of Nigeria, they don't take it serious. It is not approved. Court in the eastern part of Nigeria, that is the reason why they don't take you serious, anybody that is from the eastern part of Nigeria. They won't take you serious. But because of that, including the media house, they don't take court from eastern part of Nigeria serious. That is the reason why you will see Channel TV. Let me show you. You will see Channel TV. I want you to read, if you can see it, to read. That is the reason why you see Channel TV writing this junk. I am going to read it for you. It says, Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court Abuja on Tuesday denied bail to the leader of proscribed indigenous, of course, indigenous people of Biafra, says more. Why would a court disqualify the ground in which an organization is proscribed? Nigeria did not appeal, and yet the ordinary media house still go against the pronouncement of the court, calling the organization that the court did not see as a terrorist or proscribed, continuously calling them proscribed. And it is only Channel TV mostly that calls this organization proscribed. Why? Why? And maybe there is others, because maybe there are others when they want to get, momentum, they call it proscribed. But I listen to the AIT, African Independent Television, of old. This is like a national television, not Channel TV of yesterday. I never heard them calling this organization proscribed. But this Channel TV of yesterday continue to call IPOB proscribed, even when the court said otherwise. Have you seen the reason why we call Nigeria a banana republic? We are not insulting it. Any place where the rule of law cannot stand, any place where the law is not independent, any place where the governor is not independent, the minister is not independent, the minister can be dependent, but to a certain, extent, because they were assigned to do a job. It is like I am an engineer. You give me a job of an engineer. You now come and start dictating for me how much I am going to, put oil, how much oil I am going to use in order to do my profession, when you are not professional in that field. So that's exactly what you see going on in Nigeria. Nobody is independent. Everybody is answerable to Mr. President. Yet it is Federal Republic of Nigeria. In the mouth, or verbal federal, but not in the book or not in the character of the country. That is exactly what you are seeing. If these people cannot be independent, if they cannot be independent, what is the reason why there is federal behind Nigeria? Because everything within that name is a fake. Everything around that name, they name you, is a fake. That is the reason why a TV channel will not obey the rule of law. They continue to call you proscribed. But the Fulani bandit that has been proscribed, and like I said, I still have the proscription document. If I search my computer, I will find the proscription document of the Fulanis. I have never heard Channel TV call them proscribed. They will call them the herders, farmers, Fulani, bandits. They will not call them proscribed. Why? Because there is always the man on the periphery controlling every activities. Ordinary TV is bigger than the decision of a judiciary, the decision of a court. Ordinary TV channel. That is where you will know it is a bizarre situation. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu being denied bail on the basis of what? Why is the bail even the bail the topic when he has been discharged? When he has been discharged, why are we talking about bail? For the sake of justice system, for the sake of the law, what Supreme Court did on the 15th of December 2023 is called a shenanigan. It is called a shenanigan. It has no, it has no place within the ambit of the law. A judgment that does not reach a unanimous decision amongst the 5-man panel of judges. So, it is a sham, it is fraudulent, it is bogus, it is actually controlled. It is non-acceptable. If you want to run as a nation, you should be worried about such things. It's just that they tell you are resilient. They are resilient. They will forget within short period of time. When you stop forgetting the mistakes of the state will stop making such mistakes. The state will look for alternative in order to handle their criminality. Because the way they are handling this criminality, it is plain to see. It is obvious to see. It breaks the heart. Because when you are seeing it, they continue to use the same tactics, the same approach. We continue to buy them. That is the reason why you should be worried when you start hearing that. Because if you throw a stone inside a marketplace, you don't know who it is going to land. Who is going to be in that dock tomorrow in the Supreme Court, and that person will be prejudiced against because he's from a particular ethnic group of a country. Who is going to be on that dock tomorrow? It could be you. It could be me. It could be even a Yoruba man. It can even be a Fulani man. No, not Fulani man. Not Fulani man. Fulani people don't go to jail. Rather, they will repent. They will repent and they will be given a promotion. They don't go to jail. They repent. So, of course, Boko Haram also, they don't go to jail. They repent. We are talking about the people from the south of Nigeria. And it can be applicable to people in the West. It's just that the people in the West are the people on the middle. Whichever they are pushed, whichever they see that is getting greener, they run to that place. If they see that it is getting greener here, they run there. That has been the reason why the people in the West are actually, where they are. When you talk about the force, when you talk about the force in Nigeria, you talk about Fulani. Hausa and Fulani, they are. You talk about the eastern region. The Yoruba people are there just to be the numbers that they will count from. And that is how Britain made it. I am not trying to be prejudiced against the Yoruba people, but I am being realistic. If you look at it, they know that the Yoruba people must, of course, the decision making is very difficult for them. They cannot make decision and stand by it. There is always a relapse. There is always, somehow how to give. They give up to their decision. Once they are thrown with a small, it's like there are, someone was telling me that their dog is just that when you just come, you throw a bone for them. You throw a bone for them, they will be busy with it while you do everything you want to do in the house. So it is a kind of that. Like, that is the reason why you see people like Wole Soyinka speaking from both sides of the mouth, which is it is something that is disastrous. He is old, known and held for a high esteem over the years, but this time around he showed us his true colors. It is about being partisan. So if it is about being partisan, ethnic, what about the peace and unity that we've been praying for? Because he is part of those praying for this peace and unity. So why are we now being, why is it about ethnicity right now? So for you to see that there is nothing about peace and unity, it is a scam, it is a sham, it is a way of wasting your time, holding you there while you are actually going backward, fighting for peace and unity that doesn't exist. People are actually integrating, moving forward. We are stuck one place fighting for peace and unity. Now Yoruba people are in the middle. The people who are fighting, the Fulani are on the conquest mission. Fulani on the conquest mission. Those who are the armies that this Fulani in the politics are using, buying guns and bullets and feeding them, giving them, pushing them into the bush. They live a life of infamy. Some of them will even buy for the bush. Though nobody will take care of their carcass. But at the end of the day, they are continuously moving for this conquest. Why can't Fulani, the money they have actually taken from Nigeria as as the proxy of Britain in Nigeria, why haven't they used it to empower themselves? They rather spend millions to push propaganda against any force that rise up to do the right thing. But they will not use it to empower themselves. That reminds me of a music. That reminds me of a song by Tupac. Let me see if it is this song. That reminds me of this song.
You won't believe what Tupac said when he was alive. Believe it or not, this man was more than a legend.
Okay, let me see.
The seed must grow, no matter.
Or not this one. Not this one. Let me. He said they have money for war, but they don't have money to feed the poor. That's what he said. They have money for war, but they don't have money to feed the poor. It is exactly what is going on. The Fulanis, their money and everything they are taking, it is to buy weapons of wars. But they will never buy food. They will never give a job. They will never give education to empower their weak. Rather, they give them gun and bullet. How can they empower them? If you empower them, they will not go hold gun and bullet to go and go do conquest mission for them. Igbos are the only force that refused the activities of neocolonialism from 1967. Igbos. The Biafrans. When I mean Igbos, Biafrans. But Igbos are always on the leading, stage. They refuse the activities of neocolonialism, which Fulanis are pushing, because they have nothing to lose. They are not indigenous. They pushed it to make sure that the activities of neocolonialism stands for the very existence of Fulani because it is for the existence and the benefit of the existence of Fulani that neocolonialism must stand in that very geographical expression called Nigeria, as the President Emeritus described it in one of his speech. They are pushing for neocolonialism to stand. Igbos has been pushing that they don't want to negotiate with neocolonialism. That is the reason why Britain, in 1967, Britain foresaw that they cannot control these people in order to take control of the oil sector in our land, and we can only control Fulani and use them as long as we give them police, gun and the bullet, army, and mortar bomb. As long as we continue to feed them with mortar bomb, we will control them. Ask yourself, why did Britain not to negotiate with us? Because all their interest falls only on the oil that is coming out from your land. Why did they not negotiate directly with those who owns the oil? Why did they have to involve a third party, which is called Fulani, to rule over these people in order for them to negotiate with Fulani how they will take oil that is coming out from your land? Because they know that you don't want to entertain this power of neocolonialism. They know it from the day of independence. That is the reason why they took a biased mind and they give you independence. Biased people. That's it. And the mistakes you make, that's why I say, you see, that 1960, is it 66 coup or 65, 1966, is it coup of 1966 or 65? That coup you see, that coup was going to be a real spoiler had it took place. Do you know why? Whoever that actually orchestrated such coup, or not coup, it is a revolution. It is not a coup actually. It is a revolution. Had it been such revolution took place, I don't think those who were talking about this independent, those biased people, because those who carry out this revolution, they notice that those who negotiated the independent, they are all biased. They negotiated it for their own benefit, not for the benefit of the 200 million people or the benefit of 100 million people. How much, whatever million that you were at that time. That's why some of them, but they did not, they were infiltrated before they even carry out the coup. They were infiltrated already by Britain. They will send you there, give you a bag of salt, and they will send the rain to fall on you, knowing you are carrying salt. And rain and salt is soluble to water. And once this, the rain comes, you'll be messed up. So that's why they send you with the salt and they call the rain, knowing that this is something that you could, if you make it, you are set for good. But they will not allow you to make it, because they have to compromise you to make sure that that peace and unity, fighting and praying, is going to be prolonged. You will continue to fight for peace and unity. Peace and unity. While Britain will continue to be the first world country. Maybe one day you will become fourth world country if it exists. You are already Banana Republic, because there is always, there is always a bureaucrat somewhere. Hey, there is always someone somewhere that is in control. So that is now what we have seen. Britain could not exploit. The colonialists could not exploit. The owners of this, they have to place somebody that will control them in order for them to control that person. Have you seen the irony of it? And that is exactly what it is. What are we now doing in order to make this dream of our forefathers, dreams of our fathers, how do we make it to be a reality? To escape from the activities of neocolonialism. And to escape is to escape from that enclave called Nigeria. neo-colonial enclave called Nigeria. That is escaping neo-colonialism. You can never escape neo-colonialism as long as we continue to champion and pray for peace and unity. It can never be peace. There can never be peace. How can there be peace? When you look at somebody like Amechi Monago, a Nigeria artist, a Nigeria celebrity. You look at his condition today, because there is no good hospital in Nigeria that will cater for him. He is begging for money in public. When we were growing up, those are icons we knew. Those are people we see in our TV. Today, they cannot even afford to treat themselves. The government did not even make any provision that can enable these people to treat themselves. These people don't even have pension. Now you talk about Nollywood, which they work for. They made money for over the years. Nollywood will not even step in to treat somebody that has been working for them for years. They will just act like, you know, of course, the Nigeria is doing like that. So every company, be it multinational, be it local, be it whichever, they behave the way the government is behaving towards the people. That is it. And government cannot question them, because you cannot question me when you are doing the same thing I'm doing. These people, they die slowly. Thank God for social media. You imagine those celebrities are dying of this illness. Imagine those who are not celebrities. What are they going through? What are they going through? Imagine that. Just begin to think about in your mind. What are these people going through? They are not celebrities. They cannot be seen in social media. They cannot be seen in television. When they are suffering these things, how many of them, if a celebrity is suffering this thing, how many of them that are not celebrities that are dying of these things? Why? These things are the things we need to consider to understand what is going on. We cannot go anywhere as long as we continue to preach peace and unity. We cannot go anywhere. Our people continuously dying for illness that is curable. That is, if you go to Ireland, okay, of course, Ireland president resigned, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday. Ireland president, after meeting with the American president, to say that he support Palestine, to give his support for Palestine in the war Israel and the Palestine are fighting. He gave his support. He resigned the day after. He called it a personal issues and a political issue. That is the reason why he resigned. He could not stand the office. And when you look at, the thing, the information within his resignation, you find out that there is also some issues. He's been a greatest president. Ireland is the most, I think is one of the cleanest place, one of the happiest place, one of the places that you can go that is free of crime. Now, a president saw there is something going on he cannot handle. He resigned. He has done well over the years. He resigned. Which president will ever resign in Africa? Even if they are sleeping, walking. Even if they are old and drooling. Drooling, I mean, even if the spit is actually coming out of their mouth, they will still want to be president. Even if they are shaking like this, they still want to be president. But one challenge is he resigned. Evidence of a good leader. They understand that leadership is not about taking authority, taking power, and dealing with anybody you want to deal with. They understand that this is the service. I am working for this nation. Now I cannot do it anymore. It is better I step down. They understand leadership. I think it is important for Africa to introduce leadership instead of making English a home language. Introduce leadership in African curriculum so that people will understand that leadership is not taking over and taking dominion and become omnipotent. and become untouchable because you have become a leader. You understand that leadership is you serving the nation, and you are prone to criticism. You are susceptible to criticism, and you cannot actually, get mad. No matter how much you get mad about criticism, it's either you do good or you step down. If you cannot handle the criticism, step down. It means you are not doing good, and you cannot handle the position given to you. So those who cannot handle criticism, they step down, even before the criticism will come. But your own, you have shaved out your eyebrows. You have no shame. Your own leaders, they have no shame. They do what they want. They don't even care about who is crying. They don't even care about who is watching. That is what differs us from other race. Because if you understand, many people will say that black people are so corrupt, while the other race are not corrupt like black people. The reason why they say black people are corrupt, other race, they look at what you don't know. They look at what you don't know. They use it and manipulate the situation because you don't know it. After all, when you want to hide something for a black man, hide it in a book. That's why when they look at the book, they saw the laws that, protect your right. Once they see you don't know that law, they exploit you with that law. They exploit you straight up. That is a crime, a serious crime. Once they exploit you with that law, but a black man will know that you know about this law. They will still want to exploit you. And they will say, do your worst. That is the reason why it looks like... that is the reason why when black people are stereotyped all over the world, because of the result of few people, few individuals, especially in political space, because it is from the up that it gets to the bottom. From up, it gets to the bottom. A president, a leader is actually, what you see in a community is actually what the leaders is giving the community. If a leader is a terrorist, there is a possibility that the country will be governed by terrorism, will be encouraged by terrorism. If a leader is a criminal or a killer, there is a possibility there will be too much killing in the society. Anything that is coming out from the leader is what you will see all over the place. The character of a leader is the reflection of the society. Now, if what we are seeing is what has been happening in a nation you call your own, there is nothing like you cannot, now people are dying for small sickness when government can, the way they can subsidize hospital. In fact, they don't need to subsidize hospital. There is supposed to be a public facility or public health care that's catered for poor people or public for free. It is not a privilege. It's not supposed to be a privilege. It is a necessity. It is supposed to be something that is a necessity in every country in the world. Government to care for the people, because that is the reason why there is resources in the country. That is the reason why you see people paying tax, because government have to take from these people the levies you see in petrol. What is government do with it? They eat it all. The levies you see in everything you are buying, what does government do with it? They eat it all. Therefore, they cannot make use of it to give you a steady electricity. Now, they cannot make use of it to build a good road. No. The most essential part of them, they cannot use it to give you a good hospital infrastructure or healthcare system. And people like Amechi Monago is dying. Is dying. Begging for money. Soliciting for funds for hospital bills. Haven't you seen that things are falling apart? You cannot see such things happening in the United States. Things have fallen apart. Osinisi Balwo was everywhere. look at it. Nollywood, I've never seen them coming to assist any of their sick, employees. We have never seen them coming into the party. We watch their people die. We don't see them. Rather, public will come and start doing what they can. Why is Nollywood not present? Because the government is not present in the life of people. The government is not present in the life of anybody. So any other person can, reciprocate or can actually replicate the same activities of the government without being questioned. Because it becomes a norm in the society. Now, getting back to it, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is soliciting, anybody soliciting for bail for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Yeah, they're soliciting for bail because the case that is already quashed by the Supreme Appeal Court. Are they soliciting for bail to nullify the case that is quashed by the Supreme Court, Appeal Court? The Supreme Court created their shenanigan and their verdict has no basis. Their verdict is bogus. According to the report, their verdict is bogus. Because the rest of the three-man panel is supposed to have their say in the verdict, which will make it reach a unanimous decision. If it is 3 against 2, it has reached a unanimous decision. When it is 2 against 3. So in that regard, why are we still entertaining this case? That means the person who is holding Nnamdi Kanu is the Nigeria president. Because a president that is a competent cannot allow judiciary to disgrace the country such as that. Cannot allow judiciary to disgrace the country, especially a president who understands the intricacies of being a leader of a nation. In being a leader of a nation, rather, now understand the complexity of what they are doing. If you are that president, you will, if you are not actually, maneuvering the law against this case, I don't think the judiciary will continue to disgrace the dignity of the so-called Nigeria today, and the president will be quiet about it. No, it means that the president is the one that is disgracing the dignity of the country through the judiciary. Through the judiciary, because judiciary is actually what show the world how the democracy of that country is, how the things is run in a country. It is judiciary, court. Court shows the world whether there is law and order in a particular country. So, if Binta Nyako is there entertaining Nigeria as the way they are having a lot of access into judicial system, without understanding that in this democracy dispensation, that judiciary is actually independent, cannot be controlled by executive. Cannot be controlled by executive. Judiciary is independent, cannot be controlled by executive. But now, many people will argue, if judiciary cannot be controlled by executive, why is there a presidential pardon? Presidential pardon can only come when it is the interest of the people. If it is a case that does not interest people, presidents have no right to pardon such person, unless protest will actually break out in the nation. President cannot pardon such person. It can lead to protest. It can lead to mob justice. Now, I want you to know that it is a case of a public interest that president can come and say, we pardon. That's when president will come in as a leader. We have seen this person is not this, is not that, and we are going to give him a presidential pardon. But when it comes to issue as crucial as the issue of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the president will come and say, if president had allowed the court of law to take its course, the rule of law to take its course, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu will be, in fact, he must have forgotten that he was kidnapped in Kenya by now. Because Nigeria will be paying they will be paying what you call a reparation fee to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Now, but because the judiciary is not independent, and president is biased when it comes to this case, this matter, because they are not biased because of anything, but biased because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu exposed each and every one of them, exposed their activities, exposed their shortcomings. That is the reason why they are just biased. Of course, that's the reason why they are just biased. It is on a personal, it is being held on arbitrarily. So when you think about these things, you will know that there is nothing that is, independent. But it is a federal republic. Federalism, where every state have their own power to make decisions, enact their law, make policies on their own, without the interference of the president. But is it the case? The answer is no. Now, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's, the reason why they allowed Mazen Nnamdi Kanu this time around to speak to the public, let me unveil it to you. Because if you follow the activities of the Nigeria government, they want Nigeria government wanted to know what he will be like when he comes out. It is a trap, a kind of trap they set for him. Let him speak. Let us know what it is going to be like. That's why you observe the first time they didn't give him chance a lot. This time around, they gave him chance. Speak like you are free. And he went straight to the point. Anybody committing crime in Biafra land will be dealt with. Anybody committing crime, kidnapping, racketeering, doing anything in Biafra land must be dealt with. He reminded them that this insecurity started immediately after his extraordinary rendition, and that he can quench the insecurity within 2 minutes. He challenged Nigeria and the status quo, which is failing to curb the insecurity in the region of Biafra, because the plan was to make the insecurity worsened by taking away Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, who is the commander of Eastern Security Network, and to lure these people to start using, the name of Eastern Security Network and start, committing crimes. It never worked. They started recruiting. Mass recruiting. They started committing crime. In the name of that, they are trying to make sure they lie against Eastern Security Network and Nnamdi Kanu. Because when you see that crime is an institution, terrorism is an institution, all this crime, there are people benefiting from it in the government. That is the reason why it cannot stop. That's why if you bring anybody that is going to fight terrorism in Nigeria today, that person will not last. They will take him out. So Mazen Nnamdi Kanu stood up against every insecurity in Biafra land, including kidnapping, including terrorism, including murder, slaughter, everything. He rose up and he was able to keep everywhere calm within the course of 2 months. Keep everywhere calm. But the forces who are benefiting from this insecurity decided that they will work against this man Why would this man just rise up? Or telephonically, he created security that curbed insecurity in Biafra land. How can that be? You want the world to see our incompetency. No, we are going to stop this man. Otherwise, this man, one day, he will take us out from our position where we are embezzling with our families. Wickedness, envy, and jealousy. That is the reason why these people united to take him out and put him in a solitary confinement in the name, so that they will destroy the security that is competent, that is committed in fighting crime and defending the land of Biafra against the external aggression, against the internal aggression. It does not matter. So they took him out. So they told him, they allowed him to speak yesterday to know his state of mind. That is number one. Not yesterday, sorry, on the 20th. To know his state of mind. To know his state of mind. He spoke, and he now hit or point against those who has been using his name to commit crime. That's why he said everyone committing crime in our land must be dealt with. Who is that person? And of course, if he was outside, such things will never happen. But because as an Ukujago, so that is the reason why you see such things happening. Now, in this regard, they don't want to release him. And he said what he said yesterday on the 20th to the public. He shook the public. He shook the public. This one is not about just speak two things. Don't speak. They just gave him chance to speak, to hear him, to hear his state of mind. And he nailed it. Everyone committing crime, everyone engaging in violence must be dealt with. He said it. And that is the approach he's been using. But people misunderstood him. But the government never misunderstood him. The government is envious about him because of the following he commands, because of the good work he was doing, because of teaching people their rights that he was doing. Because one thing government does not want is people knowing their rights. Like I said to you, Oyibo man, they corrupt, but they corrupt because they know your right past you. Where you don't know your right, they exploit you. So if there is anybody who teaches you your right, they cannot exploit you. But a black man will exploit you. Even when you know your right, they will still exploit you. When someone wants to tell you, no, what this person is doing against you is not right, they become a target. That's why it looks like our crime is seen all over the world. Do your worst. The crime of black people is the crime of do your worst. But the crime of other nations, or maybe Europeans, they do it through pen and paper. Where they know you are less informed, they exploit. But your governors, your president, they will do it and tell you do your worst. Who are you? Who are you to challenge a president? You saw somebody throwing shoes at a former American president because of Iraq war. They were throwing him with shoes. Is it Bill Clinton or who? Who was that? Throw him with shoes. A journalist. Maybe one of his family members buy for Iraq war. Because, even if they get arrested, their story will be heard because it is democracy. You cannot beat someone and ask them not to cry. So that is exactly, people actually, present their grievances. And when they give you Yeah, George Bush. Sorry, thank you very much. Bush. When people actually present their grievances or display their, their dissatisfaction, their disgruntledness, when they display it, you can only calm them down because they gave you the power. You cannot start using lethal force. You cannot use force to stop them. They gave you the power. This is their disgruntledness. They are not satisfied. You are not giving people what they want. So it is their right to cry. So it doesn't matter how they want to cry. It is their right to cry. So when you want to quench that cry, because all our lives, when you cry, they beat you. Come on, stop crying. Stop crying also. Then you will know, hey, it is not good. It is not good. They will even violate you because you are crying. Even though they beat you, they will tell you, come on, keep quiet. Stop crying. Most of us still do it. That is exactly what the Nigeria state is doing to the people. That is the reason what the African leaders are doing to their people. Stop crying also, even though they are beating you. How can people be beating you up and continue to tell you don't cry? So come on, don't cry also. Why are you crying? But they are beating you. The irony of it. So Mazen Nnamdi Kanu sent a message. Of course, the slogan of those who knows that they are guilty in the message he sent will be, let him come out and explain his figuration. That's their slogan. You will start hearing, but that is, by the way, that is the reason why we don't even call the name of these people, because it is irrelevant. And of course, you have seen that anybody who does not want to pick up their pieces from where they left off, those people are actually part of the syndicate that is terrorizing Biafra land, and in the name that they are working with Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, which is exactly the same thing that indicted Barrister Ejimakor when he said that the followings are the same. That is exactly what you can see that is going on. It is what is going on. Nigeria government is not following the proceedings of the law. What they are following is biased proceedings. Backdoor proceedings. That is the reason why Binta Nyako is not, delivering the judgment that should be delivered. Where is treasonable felony quashed? What is he now answering? Is it the issue of jumping bail quashed in Umuahia case? So Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said what he said. They gave him chance to hear from him. And another thing is that when they gave him chance to hear from him, they want to know what he is up to, what his plans are. And he hit the nail on the head. And he spoke. And believe you me, if Mazen Nnamdi Kanu will speak in the next 3 courts that they will come, protest inside the court, because that speech that he made, the whole world has captured it. That is exactly, the whole world has captured it. They have seen that this man represents the truth, not violence. This man represents, a just cause. That is it. If you speak more 1 or 2, 3 in the next court, believe you me, that's why they never allowed him to speak. But they set a trap for him. But that trap ended up, breaking the shackle, the state of confusion that has been there over the years. That is now the trap they set for him. They jump into it because the faction they created, believing that is, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is going to entertain the stupidity of these people. He made it clear. He disassociates himself from the activities of these people. That is the reason why Many people, of course, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu mentioning people's name is an insult to his personality. That's why you heard people mentioning it, and you also heard some people saying, no, don't mention it. It's enough now. It's enough. People like Ejimako telling them it's enough now. It's enough now. Because you know that if he mention more, maybe there will be a broadcast on the scandal of Ejimako from the the syndicate. So that is the reason why we were hearing is enough now. And he was saying it loud because he does not want the truth, that name to be mentioned. Because I mentioned Fimagugo. And Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is too big a fish to be caught with a penny hook. So he cannot mention the name of, he can't. He cannot mention the name that he even, DOS, leadership has not mentioned. He can't. You see? So that is where it becomes very important. I love that media coverage. I love it very much. It made a lot of impact. It made a lot of impact. This man, the reason why they have seen that the reason why this man is still where he is because he is unbiased. He is not changing his topic. He continued to dwell on what he believes in. That is the reason why he is still there. The world have seen. Speak boldly before your enemy. The government, people in the government are complicit and they are aiding and abetting this insecurity in Biafra land. That is the reason why they are keeping him there. Straight up. But this is where we are going to leave it. There are many things. The military of Niger Delta is in Bayelsa State. All this shenanigans they're displaying there, we will talk about it another day. Now, if we are going, you see what the man called the guy called Udene. Do you know why he got arrested? He got carried away because he believed that it is still Fulani that is in position of power. You remember the time he was saying Sunday Igboho did this, Sunday Igboho did that. He does not know because he was protecting his Fulani brothers. He does not know that all these things he was doing is actually making him a target, because the Fulanis he worked for is no longer in power. He continued thinking that he's still working for Fulani, even if Hope Uzodinma direct him. Of course, there is difference between Fulani and those who are in power now. Now, he got carried away. That is the reason why he is also going to get arrested. He got carried away. Now the question I am going to be asking him, he is saying things that he believed it was right. He is speaking because he believed that what he says is right. After this arrest, or after all these things, is he going to actually understand that in Nigeria there is no freedom? Freedom of speech, freedom of association. He will understand it by fire, by force. Regardless of whatever he says against people, he will understand it. When he comes back, we will know whether his topic will change or not. Because if you do good, you do yourself. If you do bad, same you do yourself. That is exactly what is happening. Udene speak, he says he's a king of the game. I don't know exactly what he did. But all I know is that if Fulani was in power, he was not going to be handcuffed. But that is by the way. That is by the way. However, it is. He is too emotional. He's a very, very emotional person. If he was insulting the Igbo people, from Igbo people, incriminating Igbo people, then when he heard about Igbo, he want to use Igbo to shine, to so that people will say, no, he is speaking the truth, he is in the middle, he run. Igbo say he will kill Fulani, Igbo must go back to Germany, or Igbo must be arrested by Tinubu, this and that. Now you're only on. Oh God. He didn't know that the target starts from there. But if you know, you know. If you know, you know. That is it. Let us actually listen to this before we call it a day. I think I have actually delivered the message. Let us listen to the interview granted by Ejimako. The interview granted by Ejimako. Even Opabi calls for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu release. Right? Opabi, the Senate President, calls for the release of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Everybody who is wise calls for the release of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Because everybody, they know that no one careful lawyer now. You see, Attorney General, after all his scandals, where is he today? He is flying high, nowhere to be found. He is not arrested. He is not being questioned. He is not being called to account. Why? You don't know. So now, let us see the interview. Let us listen to
These were the words of the
Nigeria interview, and I want you to pay attention.
I can bring peace to the southeast. These were the words of the incarcerated leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, shortly after his bail was denied on Tuesday. Nnamdi Kanu has been in and out of detention since October 2015 for what the government has described as anti-state activities. Since then, the southeast region has been a hotbed of violence, with various groups blaming the rise in conflict on Kanu's continued incarceration. This is what he had to say following his appearance in court on Tuesday.
Anybody committing crime cannot go scot-free. I swear it. They cannot go scot-free. Anybody involved in any type of crime in the East cannot go free. And they're doing it because I'm in DSS. That's why if I said no idiot can try this rubbish, and they know it very well. They know it very well. And I suspect that some people in government are complicit. They're making money with insecurity. They're making money with it. They know now mechanics outside. In 2 minutes, this nonsense will stop. Who is the idiot? Who is the bagger? That will speak when I'm talking. Who is the fool? Who is the idiot? I ask. That I give an order in the East, and the idiot will counter it. Who is the bastard? I'm asking you. Nobody can.
Sir, are you
I'm not the camera. Who is the idiot?
Let's go back to the interview.
Joining us in the studio is Barrister Aloy Ejimako, Kanu's lead counsel. Thank you for joining us on
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, quickly, is Nnamdi Kanu trying to work the system, the judicial system, by impressing his relevance on peace in the southeast?
Yes. First of all, we're happy that for the first time since he was renditioned in 2021 and detained, yesterday was the first time he had a ample opportunity to speak to the media. His beloved lawyers speaking for him. So it was the turning point. The next big thing that happened yesterday, that he spoke to the media and he made himself very clear. And I'm happy Nigerians listened to him and they've heard what he had to say about insecurity in the Southeast, which is key to what happened in court yesterday that made us very unhappy. Everybody else knows this except the presiding judge. This was one of the reasons why we had to bring a fresh application for his bail, in order to see how we can, through the process of court, assist in combating or containing that insecurity in Southeast.
Okay, Nnamdi Kanu has called for violence in the past on his Radio Biafra platform.
Did you hear that?
So on both security persons and citizens alike. So why the turnaround saying that if he gets bail, he can assure that there will be peace in the city?
No, you are totally wrong. He never called for violence. He called for self-defense.
Because we can clearly see that you can in 2020 the EndSARS protest.
Okay.
If you Google it now, you can get that information where he called for an attack on the governor, and some
the
other-
media.
No, I recall an interview he did with the Ovation magazine publisher. What's his name again? Ovation magazine publisher. That was an interview he did with him. I remember his name before we finished. He did an interview because of what you just said. The misunderstanding, the misconception, the misrepresentation of what he had said during EndSARS. So he clarified himself. He was calling for self-defense of the Southeast and for people to employ self-defense to defend themselves against those that are living the insecurity in the country.
Okay, so let's just say, okay, if his intentions are genuine, how does he hope to achieve this peace?
Well, his personality, force of personality, is sufficient. He's a man with millions of followers. His voice is very strong in this country. You cannot take that away from him. His sheer force of character, his charisma, and his capacity to rally people to do the right thing. Those things are key to combating this insecurity, and he can do it.
He clearly does have a lot of supporters, and some of his supporters are complicit in asking for violence, preaching violence. People like Sam Epa. What's your take on that?
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention since 2021, and you're trying to make him responsible for what is happening now.
Yeah, that is Nigeria.
He cannot be guilty by association.
Okay. Let's get back to the beginning. If as he's incarcerated now,
Hold on. The people that you assuming to be his supporters, some are genuine, some are not, some are credible, some are not. You cannot attribute anybody to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Some are genuine, some are not. We've been talking about faction. That is what Ejimato just confirmed now. Some are genuine, some are not. So, faction.
And there have been violence perpetrated in the Southeast, and there have been links to his continued detention. So, how can you say that these supporters are not his supporters, or they are not?
Okay.
And even if they are not his supporters, as he's incarcerated, his supporters are not listening to him. So, how are we sure that him getting bail will mean that his supporters?
You are attributing what people say, what people do to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu out there. It's very unfair.
Nigeria activities.
Yesterday, he said he's not in support of any violence and criminality, and I think he should be taken at his word.
Correct.
The witch cried at night and the baby died in the morning. Doesn't necessarily mean that the witch killed the baby.
You see the reason why he is quoting from a legal perspective. You see the reason why I tell you that when you say something, court will ask you what is your intention of saying this thing. If you don't give a good explanation as per your intention, that's the way it becomes a criminal. But if you give a good presentation as per the reason why or the context which you said this, then it becomes people's perception and narratives. understanding it in different ways. That is why there is figuration speech, there is proverbs, there is a metaphor. So people can speak in metaphor. That's why everything you see might not appear to be truth. Everything you hear might not be the truth. It is when you hear it, you create your own, perspective on how to analyze it. That is very, very important. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has committed no crime. He's a free man. Tinubu should release him as per the order of the Supreme Appeal Court. As per the order of Appeal Court. Because he has committed no crime known to law. So what we are seeing is travesty of justice. What we are seeing is Supreme Court committing what is called defeating the ends of justice. That's what Supreme Court is committed actually, by not being professional in the case or in the handling of the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. So they are biased. So this is where we're going to leave it. We're great and wonderful people of Biafra, lovers of freedom all over the world. It is important that you know you must be fearless before your enemy. You speak the truth even if it leads you to death. That is the only way we will be able to come out of this organization that prays for peace and unity, not for economic growth and opportunity. They pray for peace and unity, not for infrastructural development, not for sewage system, not for pipe-borne water, peace and unity. 1 cup of rice, 250, no hospital. Peace and unity becomes much necessity for them. It is not going to grow. It is time to say, to hell with peace and unity. Let people of like mind go and govern themselves. Let people of like mind go and be together. We can achieve that only through referendum. Regardless of what you think, because you think it is Nnamdi Kanu, it is a Igbo man who actually suggested that. How can we follow that? Regardless of what you think about it, it is not going to change any situation. It is not going to change the fact that you are living a life in infamy, and you are going to bequeath it to your children, and you are going to bequeath it to your children. All this life of trying and error, all this life of suffering and smiling, all this life of Stockholm syndrome you are living, you are going to bequeath it to your children if you don't make a decision that will change this status quo of amalgamation, where it is all about peace and unity, not about human empowerment. Until we meet again, stay safe.